What's up? Phil James here. Today is Wednesday, October 11th, 2017. And yeah, they did it. Look at this Wikipedia page right here. Under cloud seeding. Now, I get a lot of shit on my channel here about geoengineering and what I say it is and how I portray my thoughts on it. I also get a lot of shit about the chemtrails and what we clearly see every day with our own eyes. Our own eyes. For all you dipshits out there who can't seem to look up with your own fucking eyes. So congratulations for being another blind, sheepish American. Congrats to you for sucking. Alright? Sorry if I offended anybody. I apologize. I'm just getting hella fed up. Now, chemtrails, geoengineering, all has to do with what? What is the major goal of the two? Whether what? Whether, I'll take two answers. Manipulation or whether warfare. Actually, we'll take three words. Or whether terrorism. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and read this top part. This article is about weather modification. It is not to be confused with chemtrail conspiracy theory. Really? Really? Okay. Very strange that they put that, considering cloud seeding is literally going up in a plane and spraying what? Chemicals into what? Clouds. So yeah, congratulations, Wiki, for being retarded. Alright? Clearly, they are one and the same. Techniques are slightly different, yeah. Maybe just a little bit here and there. You know, cloud seeding, they spray what? Silver iodide, and chemtrails, they can go up in a plain blue sky and still spray their aluminum oxide, sulfuric acid, boron, strontium, tritium, whatever the hell they decide they want to spray. And it can be a plain blue sky. But cloud seeding, on the other hand, it's a much more earlier attempt at weather modification, which one of the very first few patents came out was about 55, 60 years ago, and GE had a big part in it. I'm not going to go into depth on all that because the channel called Truthstream Media did a very, very good video on it. I just wanted to go ahead and throw out the proofs that we have here in our favor. You know, the people who talk about geoengineering on a daily basis and get mocked, harassed, and shit talked about it. So that's all this video is. Just the common proof here, because it's clearly happening. Now, in that Truthstream Media video, they even talk about the guy, this doctor, this basically mad scientist type ordeal of a guy, spraying silver iodide into a hurricane, causing it to turn and then hit Savannah, Georgia back in the day. Wreaked havoc on the area. Wreaked havoc. Absolute destruction. Okay? Then one time they flew through a cloud dumping dried ice and silver iodide, cut a big ass L shape into the cloud. Literally, right down the middle of this cloud, like 3 to 5 miles tall, just a big open L shape. So that was called cloud cutting. Now, this was happening back in 47 and on. 47 is when they really started manipulating and trying to test certain theories and ideas. And surely enough, guess what? They were successful enough times to continue. And a lot of them boasted at what they were accomplishing or what they were performing and what they were pulling off. So clearly, there's some proof right there for you guys, for all you skeptics out there who say you're open-minded, you know, and clearly you're not at all. Yo, look at that. Silver iodide or dry ice or a mixture of the two. They can legit add moisture to an already devastating storm. And now we have what's called wet surface air coolers all over the country. NASA likes to use them. Metal foundries like to use them. and you know they fire these things up, and it causes mass evaporation, right? And when this mass evaporation happens, that evaporation goes where? Up. Where's that? What's it do then? It does what? Turns into condensation and then starts to precipitate. So clearly we can, in every way of the word, manipulate our weather. Okay? It's a very, very obvious statement of fact right now in these times. Now, with that being said, I kind of mentioned it in a little video yesterday. I do not think Hurricane Nate was a hurricane at all. I think it was a rain bomb, and I think that it was produced just to, you know, keep people distracted, just to keep everybody in fear, you know, just like the now Black Plague spreading, the Black Death, you know, just to keep everybody in fear. Whether or not it's true, we will never know. But, hey, I will say Hurricane Nate did not look like a hurricane at all. But I wanted to go ahead and show this, you know, just the way it's said, not to be confused with chemtrail conspiracy theory. But chemtrails are strictly sprayed to what? Manipulate and cool the earth in Harvard's eyes. Now, listen to this. Cloud seeding is a form of weather modification, a way of changing the amount or type of precipitation that falls from clouds by dispersing substances into the air that serve as cloud condensation or ice nuclei, which alter the microphysical processes within the cloud. The usual intent is to increase precipitation, rain or snow, but hail and fog suppression are also widely practiced in airports. Okay, we have to remember the companies that do these things. Okay, these are private people, like private companies are cloud seeding. Private companies are being paid by, you know, God knows who, to go seed or suppress rain, depending on where they're at in the country. So think about this. Let's say that there's a big group of Monsanto farmers, Monsanto seed using farmers right here. But then there's organic farmers right here. So that means they can go up and suppress the rain over these organic farms, but then literally go up and seed the clouds in the path of the Monsanto farms. Who gets the rain? Who's paying for it? Well, a good guess would be Monsanto could go out and pay for it. And it just so happens, once again, I've mentioned it in another video, Monsanto just so happens to be the company that has already been in trouble for hiring goon squads to go discredit people online here on YouTube, this toxic ass environment we all find ourselves within. And not only that, but Monsanto has had quite the amount of dirty shit happen throughout their time as a company. They have produced the absolute worst chemicals known to mankind. They have done the biggest scandals and the shittiest things to humans overall. Okay, so what makes anybody think they wouldn't hire these private companies to go out and seed clouds or suppress rain in areas they do or don't want it? You know what I mean? They also just so happen to be the company, the only company that just so happened to make seeds that will still germinate and grow in insanely toxic soil, you know, toxified with aluminum. Aluminum being what? The main thing sprayed out of chemtrail tankers, aluminum oxide. So isn't it kind of ironic that years ago Monsanto makes a seed that will still grow in insanely toxic, like aluminum toxic soil? Why would they have just up and thought of doing that? You know what I mean? They had an idea on why, huh? Nothing happens coincidentally on this earth. Nothing at all. Everything that happens because somebody plans it and because somebody else is pulling the strings up here. Nothing is coincidence ever. But so back to the cloud seeding. That's, you know, not real weather modification. It's just to help precipitation. 4 years ago, Now, what I want to say about this is you can see clearly here that this is a plane, some sort of plane flying, has all those tubes off the back, right? Looks like a road flare, correct? Bright flare. Pop, it ignites and it sprays silver iodide in the atmosphere, in the clouds, in that area right there as you see. So they're spraying silver iodide and they're going to cause it to rain somewhere. Do we know where? No, but this video is like 4 or 5 years old. So it's been around for a very long time and it's a very common thing. You know what I mean? We've been manipulating our weather for a very, very long time is the point that is being made here. But I do want to say something in regards to this road flare looking silver iodide canister. So do you guys remember during Harvey around Texas and also at the same time up in Colorado, there were all those what were being called UFO sightings. They looked like separate sparklers or flares lighting up in the sky and flying around in unison, you know what I mean? Like, did you guys see those? You can find them here on YouTube. Like, I don't know what you'd have to look up. If I get a link, if I think about it, I'll put a link in this description to one. Personally, I believe those flares or those UFOs were actually silver iodide flares hooked up to drones, and that's why it looked like they're flying in unison. Honestly, that's what I think. Because, you have Transpecos over there in Texas saying they're directly responsible for like 15 to 20% of all the rainfall during in and around Harvey. Then you have NASA on the opposite side over in Mississippi and Mobile, firing their SLS their SLS Mars rocket, the test fire that lasted 500 seconds, which was longer than any other test fire. And BBC did a documentary on that very same device, which uses a wet surface air cooler and sends hella evaporation straight up into the atmosphere. So yeah, they made Harvey rain much, much worse. And then on top of making it rain, then they break levees open without telling anybody. So what do we think is going on? Do we still think they're trying to help us, really? Come on, guys, let's wake up. This channel's Michael Boyers. Don't know who it is, but just to show what's going down here with some more chemtrails. See, there's the difference. Cloud seeding says it in the name. You need a cloud. You know what I mean? You do need a cloud. But as for chemtrails, it's basically a way of blocking out the sun or a solar shield because it spreads and literally whites out the entire sky. So let's consider all the options here on what you think they could be possibly doing. Do you really think they're trying to help against global warming, which they don't even say anymore? They now say climate change, because global warming literally says that the planet is heating up exponentially all the time. Like it always gets warmer, exponentially warmer. So that's not what's happening. That's why it's now called climate change. So it's very strange that they're still have Harvard preaching what they're preaching about. Oh, we're just trying to reflect sunlight back into space.
Every drop of rain possible out of this storm.
We absolutely need it. As CBS 2's Amy Johnson shows us, cloud seeding is now underway.
With a small pop and a puff of smoke, cloud seeding is done in the hills above Pasadena.
Well, we send up particles from the apparatus behind me that will seed the cloud. It'll go into the cloud, and this particle will be attracting water vapor inside the cloud, creating a drop of water that starts as ice, and as it falls to earth, we get heavier rain.
This is just one of 10 sites where automated high-output generators, or AHOGs for short, have been set up around LA County.
Imagine it like igniting a traffic flare that is slow burning, and then the particles head skyward, almost like incense.
The technique can produce 10 to 15% more rain.
Imagine a weak rain cloud going overhead. With the particles that are sent from the cloud seeding, it creates a heavier rainfall from the cloud that's already overhead.
But what's really coming out of those canisters?
And the active particle is a silver iodide molecule. It's pretty much microscopic once they dissipate.
The generators are actually controlled by a crew in Utah.
Now, did we hear those two major points in there? It's pretty much microscopic once they disintegrate, or once they dissipate. Pretty much. Not all the way, but pretty much. So you don't have to worry about it. Also, they can increase the rainfall by, what did he say? Did he say 10 to 15%? Just the same amount that, you know, Transpecos is claiming responsibility for during Harvey? No.
Think of a mission control type of setting. They're able to watch exactly what's happening with the camera that's mounted here.
Before any of these canisters are triggered, we're carefully looking at the weather patterns, the wind patterns, how heavy the cloud cover is, the capacity of the reservoirs and the streams downstream.
And the clouds have to be just right for this to work.
If a storm is too heavy, we don't want to seed it and create a bigger problem. If a storm is too weak, there won't be enough water vapor to have the particles coalesce around.
Experts say it was the perfect storm to help out Mother Nature. In Pasadena, Amy Johnson, CBS 2 News.
I'm sorry, last time I checked, I didn't think Mother Nature needed help with her natural occurring water cycle. Oh, and that reminds me, you know there's not one spot on Earth other than the Nile River Basin where the actual water cycle, the natural water cycle takes place. It's only at the Nile River Basin at this point. Everywhere else has been manipulated with channels and ports and locks and canals and, you know, geoengineering and everything else you can imagine. So yeah, the only place the naturally occurring water cycle still happens is the Nile River Basin. I would have been willing to guess Niagara Falls too, possibly, just because so much mist and everything. But I don't even think there. They diverted the falls and turned it into a massive tidal type hydropower plant. You know what I mean? Which I'm for that. That's cool. You know, for that regard, not polluting anything. So, but one more thing before I stop this video. This reminded me. Okay, so this happened 4 months ago. Now, I just want to go ahead and show what we are very, very capable of doing. That is so gnarly. Basically every single rear windshield and windshield is just shattered, as you can see. Absolute madness. Now, the reason I wanted to show this is because by us dropping dry ice in clouds, like with just simple cloud seeding, which is not even considered, you know, some sort of tin hat wearing conspiracy theory, they can still cause hail with that. You realize they're dropping dry ice, you know what I mean? Dry ice and silver iodide into clouds. They've caused drastic turns in hurricanes, and they can cause massive, massive hail. So, do we really think we can't manipulate our weather? I mean, Wiki, the patent office, all of these things point to it and will show you straight up that we can. So, let's really start to look at the bigger picture here. Cloud seeding and chemtrails might be two separate things, and people might not consider Harvard coming out talking about Operation Solar Shield being clear enough proof of a conspiracy at play. But in my eyes, David Keith and the Keith group from Harvard coming out saying they have to spray sulfuric acid to mimic a volcanic winter, aluminum oxide, boron, strontium, and tritium, and all that stuff, and lithium, is plenty proof for me. Mainly because they've already done it. They did it in the 50s in San Francisco and actually ended up killing a few people with the radioactive particles they sprayed on the unknowing and unconsenting population below. So, really, think about this long and hard before you start dismissing geoengineering again. Because, yeah, once again, like I said, cloud seeding and geoengineering, chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injections might be two separate things, but essentially they are just two sides of the overall coin. Do you see what I mean? They are two sides, they're two sides of the overall weather warfare coin. So I just wanted to make this video real quick just to show everything, show some proof, and maybe make people start opening their eyes, because now would be the time. But alright, y'all. Peace.